Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. It is great to see you. I can't see anybody, but you have the pleasure of seeing me and my colleague, Emily Quidetto, who is the Success Coordinator for the School of Communication. My name is Angelo Gargaro, and I am the Success Coordinator for the School of Business, minus SAEM. And today, Emily and I are going to take this opportunity to literally walk you through how you will register for your classes in spring of 21. It's crazy that we're already kind of at this place. And to be honest with you, I'm ready for fall to be over anyways. So bring on a new year and a new semester. Congratulations to everybody for making it this far. You probably haven't been told that enough. You probably haven't thought about that enough, but I think it's worth mentioning that, you know, you should be proud for making it this far in the middle of a pandemic in a crazy time. So good for you. Keep pushing. And thanks for joining this webinar today. So here's going to be the agenda for today. We are going to answer your questions and any concerns, but we're going to ask for you to hold off on those questions until after Emily and I are done with this presentation. We want to get you all the information first, so then you can ask pertinent questions from there. When I do say that the Q&A is open, you can ask a question via the questions tab of the GoToWebinar control panel. Your questions come in private to Emily and I. We're not going to say your names or anything, so feel free to ask away. There's no such thing as a silly question. Obviously, we want to talk a lot about registration, but we'll mention a few other things here as we go through. And so if you have any questions about that, please let us know. I do very quickly, though, want to mention the actual registration dates and just give you guys some explanation to that. If you haven't seen the emails that have come through from the registrar's office, there really are two main ones that you want to pay attention to. The one that lists the registration dates, and you can also find that on our website. I'm actually going to send it in the chat here in a moment for you guys. And then there's a new email that just came out from Scott Spencer, the registrar, that kind of breaks down a little bit more about what spring's going to look like in terms of format, modality, and we'll touch on that here today as well. So just so you guys know, tomorrow, October the 29th, honors, veterans, athletes, disability support students, they all get priority registration starting tomorrow. So if you are in one of those categories, you are registering starting tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. After that, it's just going to go pretty rapidly. Seniors will be Monday, November the 2nd. Juniors, Wednesday, November the 4th. Sophomores, Monday, November the 9th. Freshmen, then Wednesday, November the 11th. So it's happening, and it's happening quick. And listen, there's no excuse, no reason to not go in on the day of your registration and reserve your classes. This is a unique time, and there's so many different modality choices and formats that you want to get in there now as soon as you can. Well, not now, I mean, as soon as it opens for you. You want to get in there and reserve your classes so you get the best instructor, in your opinion, the best time, the best modality, everything. Okay, get that slide out of my face. Now, the other thing that I want to mention really quick before I hand the reins over to Emily to kind of walk through the plan and how you register, I do want to just mention, I've been getting a lot of emails on this, that Pass No Credit is an option for fall of 2020, and Pass No Credit will be an option in spring of 21. I think that matters to some people when they're selecting their classes and things like that, so I did just want to throw that out there right here out the gate. Fall 2020, spring 21. Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, we've received communication for both that it is confirmed that Pass No Credit will be offered, correct? Okay, all right, so with that, I would like, you guys should all be able to hopefully hear and see me at this point. I probably should have asked that a lot earlier. I would assume somebody would tell me by now, but you guys should all be able to see Emily's screen. She's going to walk you through the guide. I actually sent it to all of you in the email invitation. If you don't have it, or if you lost it, in the GoToWebinar control panel, you can actually see it under the handouts tab. If you click on it, it will download it, and you can walk through it with us. Awesome, thank you. Somebody just came in and said they could see it. Very good. So yeah, you can just watch Emily do it, and after that, we'll dive into the Q&A. So Emily, take it away.
All right, so this is how to register for your classes, and we're registering by plan. So the first thing you need to do is access PointWeb. So there is a link that is in that presentation that was sent out to everyone. If you don't want to use that link, you can go to the Point Park homepage, pointpark.edu, and go to the My Point Park and select PointWeb. From there, you'll go to the Students tab, which is across the top of the page, and then select Course Information from the menu on the left. Kind of in the middle of the page, you'll see Register by Plan under the Schedule heading. So once you click that Register by Plan, you'll see the courses that were pre-planned for you for the Spring 21 semester. These courses have been determined as part of a sequence to ensure timely graduation by the faculty in the academic department. So if you're in the School of Comm, typically what will happen is Tom Baggerman and I will sit down and we'll go over plans for students. If you are a freshman, there is a traditional 4-year plan, 8 semesters. If you are a transfer student, that plan has been customized for you to make sure that you're still getting the prerequisites in the right order to progress through the program in a timely manner. Once you click the blue arrow next to the section of the class, that will actually show you all of the days, times, modalities that are being offered for that class. So that's really what you're picking. In the example here, this student will be taking French 101. So if they click that blue arrow next to the class, they'll be able to see, oh, there's a French 101 class at 8 o'clock, at 9:40, there's another one at 1 o'clock, and they'll be able to see the days of the week and pick the one that fits best in their schedule. To do that, all you'll need to do is click the Add to My Schedule. You can also see the section Details, which will have a little bit more information on the content of that course. So once you add it to your schedule, it'll get placed on the calendar that's right next to it. It kind of helps you visualize the time slots. You can avoid conflicts. When you're looking for your next class, you'll see, oh, I already have an 8 a.m. class on Tuesday and Thursday, so I know not to pick another section at that time. Now, just because the course is on that calendar does not mean that you are registered for that course, okay? What you need to do is you actually need to go in, add all of the courses that are planned for you. Once you do that, there'll be a checkout at the end that I'm going to show you. All right. Some of you will have a core course on your plan. So it works the exact same way. You'll see this is an example of Interpret Creative Works. So when you click on that requirement, it will pull up every class that will satisfy that requirement. So in this example, we're using Interpret Creative Works. You'll see the zombie cinema, you'll see children's literature, the intro to literary studies, world lit. So all of these courses would be appropriate. You need to pick one. And then once you decide, I really want to take children's literature, it's the same thing. You click on the blue arrow next to the class, and it will pull up every section of that course that's being offered. Now, the core classes, again, have been predetermined for each semester. But if you get in there and you're like, oh, Emily, I cannot do a math class this semester, you know, and you give me a reason why it's not going to work for you, contact your Student Success Coordinator, contact me, contact Angelo, contact, you know, just the general CSS account. We can still make modifications to certain things in your plan, but you need to talk to us. Right? So let's say you get in there and you add a physics class and you're like, oh, I don't want to do physics, or I have to pick a different section because there's only one time for my other class that I'm required to. You can click on the class in the calendar, and that's how you will remove it. You'll clear from my schedule. So feel free to get in there, add a class. You can go in, you can still make updates, you can still make changes. All right, nothing is set in stone at this point. Now, whenever you are ready to say, all right, I'm good, all of my classes are in, this is everything I need to take for the semester, I'm really happy with my schedule, you'll click the green registration checkout at the top of the page, right? A confirmation page is going to pop up. So think about this like you are shopping online. You have to check out whenever you're shopping. So you get into your shopping cart and you see everything that you selected, and you make sure that, yeah, I really want that. So you'll check the box next to each one of those classes and send it to your advisor. So you'll hit that box that says request advisor approval. That will send all of those classes to your CSS coordinator so that we can say, yeah, all of those classes followed the plan, good to go, registered for classes. Once you hit that send to your advisor, you'll get a receipt exactly similar to your online shopping. It will have all of your pending courses. At that point, you're done registering for classes. All of your courses are in reserve status, waiting for your advisor to say yes. Now, keep in mind, I said nothing is set in stone. If something happens during the semester before registration closes for the spring semester, you can go in and still make changes. You talk to your friend and they decided they want to take Spanish instead of French. And you're like, yeah, I can do that too. You can still go in and just change that French class to Spanish. You would go through the checkout process again and send it to your advisor. Now, keep in mind, if you do not check out, you are not in that class. So that's the big thing to watch. You want to make sure at all times you have finished, you reserved, and you got to the point where you have this receipt.
That's it.
And I think I just stopped that presentation, right?
Yeah, yes. So there we have it. I mean, that is the process here. So first of all, Emily, thank you and shout out to you, because Emily created that guide for all students, for all CSS staff members, for the university community. And actually, Emily has been piloting this registration model for a long time. She's been a huge, huge asset in getting this up and running. So shout out to her. And listen, guys, here's the thing. You don't know any different really when it comes to registration, right? Like, this is a newer registration model, and that means nothing to you because really you're just new to college anyways. But just so you understand, being registered by plan is a beautiful, beautiful thing. We will be able to track with certainty when you're graduating. If you want to expedite that, we can actually see that and show you and explain what summer sessions would look like, how you could beef up and go up to 18 credits. The visibility this is going to give us is insane. And like Emily mentioned, you could still make modifications within reason. You know, the only reason we really wouldn't be able to is if it's not going to be offered in the semester you want, or if it doesn't meet a prerequisite. Otherwise, we're going to work with you as long as you talk to us, because we still want you to take classes that are relevant to what you're doing in your life in that moment. But also, you know, the experts who are writing the curriculum have put a lot of time into figuring out what sequence makes the most amount of sense to go through your program. So thank you again, Emily, for taking the time to share that with everybody. And I hope that was helpful. And I hope everybody's excited about spring registration and just moving forward, you know, whether it's into your program or out of this year. So with that, Emily, what's that?
Is making sure that you're talking to your student success coordinator, because if you need to make a modification, if you're like, oh, I can absolutely handle 18 credits, I want to speed it up, I want to see if I can graduate early, or maybe I need to take it a little slower, having some of these remote options is really nice, but I'm not handling it as well, maybe I only want to do 12 credits and I want to think about maybe taking a summer class. These are things that you need to talk with us about up front so that we can plan this out and show you what it's going to look like, what it's going to do to your graduation timeline, what it's going to do to that prerequisite order to get through those classes. So that's the biggest thing. Make sure you're talking to your student success coordinator throughout the process.
Absolutely. That is really the key here. And, you know, I would assume that all of you who are taking time out of your day to come hang with us to learn about this, you know, you're the all-stars. So I would assume that you're going to reach out anyways. Before we open up the Q&A, I do just want to give a little bit of clarity on section codes. And that's kind of important because that's going to be the way that you understand how you're taking your classes in the spring. Keep in mind what's happening this fall. There's a lot of options that really you got to choose from or really didn't have a choice in. And here they are. I'm going to tell you what they are, and then I'm going to tell you quickly how you can figure out what course code is what. And Emily, if I'm wrong at any point, please correct me. So there's in class, which is just like your standard kind of stuff. You're in class. You're there for whatever the scheduled day and time is. There's remote. There's online for ground students. Online only, which is accelerated 8-week courses, not for ground students. And then there's something called high flex, which really you don't have much of a say in. And so let me just break this down quickly. In-class sections would end in like an EA or a DA or a DC. An example I would give would be BMGT 208, section DA. If you see that, you'll then see the day and time next to it, and you'll know that you're attending in class. Remote sections will end in RL for remote learning. So you might see BMGT 201 OARL. That means it is remote learning. Remote learning means that you are synchronously, meaning at the scheduled day and time, meeting that class, but from a distance, remote. So it's the same thing as being in class, but just you're meeting at a distance. Full 15-week online classes that are for ground students end in section DL for distance learning. You might see a code like BMGT 201 OADL, and those are available for you. And then online only sections end in ON. They are 8-week accelerated courses, which is very rapid, not what you're used to. There are special permissions and milestones you have to meet to be accepted into one of those classes if there's a mitigating reason. Again, work with your success coordinator with that. And then the last thing I'll just mention is high flex is kind of the way the university is de-densifying as per CDC guidelines, state of Pennsylvania, things like that. So you may see a class that you register for that you're supposed to be in class Monday and Wednesday at a certain time, but to de-densify, they may create a group A and a group B, where group A is in class on Monday, but remote synchronously on Wednesday, and then group B would flip. I know that's a lot of information that I just gave there, but I wanted to provide insight. What I'll probably do is email at least my crew, and Emily, maybe you'll do the same, with just like a cheat sheet of these course codes and kind of what they mean. So anyways, Emily, is there anything else you want to add before we open the Q&A?
School of Com, in the registration email blast that went out last week, a reminder about all of those course codes should be in that email. So if all else fails,
look at you already doing it.
If all else fails, go back, check out that email, and then ask questions.
Man, live on a webinar, just, you know, showing that stuff, strutting that clout. Okay. I already have one of my students saying a cheat sheet would be great. So I'll get that out to my crew. Emily's already done it. So very good. Emily, is there, you'll forward it to me? Thanks. Emily, is there anything else that you want to add that you think is important for the students to know before we open it up to their questions?
I have been getting a lot of questions about minors and adding minors. You do have to complete at least 6 credits at Point Park before you can officially declare that minor. However, if you want to start taking a class for that minor in the spring semester, what you need to do is you need to register for the required courses that are part of your plan. At that point, reach out to your student success coordinator and we can add a class for the minor on for you that fits within that schedule. Because the big thing right now is we want to make sure that you're in the classes to complete your major.
Oh, and the last thing that I'll add to, and then we will open it up for Q&A, is when we create these plans, you are not automatically planned for any summer section. So if you want to take classes in the summer, which classes are offered in the summer, and they, correct me if I'm wrong, Emily, are available at the same time that spring registration opens.
Summer and fall.
You would have to, summer and, I'm sorry? Oh, it's summer and fall?
Yeah.
There it is. Summer and fall. Okay, so right now we're just in spring. That's good. All right. It's worth noting, though, that if you do want to take summer classes, you do need to reach out to your success coordinator so we can start to build that into the plan. But for clarity, we're just registering for spring. Ignore what I said before. All right, and with that, let's open it up for Q&A. As a reminder, you can ask questions by going to the questions tab in the GoToWebinar control panel. Everything comes in private. Just Emily and I are seeing it. We won't say your names. We just want to answer as many questions as we can and share it with everybody. If you have a question, I'm sure somebody else is thinking the same thing. All right, so let's run through it. If I want 18 credits next semester, my plan has only 15. How do I find a new course on my own or add it, or should I contact my coordinator? I would say you contact a coordinator.
Yep.
And that student, I believe, is Emily's.
Shoot me an email.
So that's a great question. If anything deviates, if you see the planned schedule and you want anything that deviates from that, you're going to have to reach out to the success coordinator, 100%.
And I just put my email address in the chat.
Great. I'll have to do that here in a second too. We got a question, any tips for commuters? Are you referencing like in how to stack your classes? If so, I think it's a personal thing. For me personally, I would maximize, and I saw, yes, you just came in and clarified, yes. What I would do is this is just me. If I'm going to be driving to campus and depending on where you're coming from, fighting traffic and just dealing with that pain in the butt, I would try to maximize my time on campus. If you're going to pay for parking, I would go down and try to nail as many classes in one singular day as I could. But if you're somebody that works or needs a break or whatever, that might not work for you. Emily?
Yeah, I would need a break in there. Maybe I would do 2 in the morning, take a break, another one in the afternoon. I'm not going to be a happy camper if I miss lunch. I just know that's me. So.
And I intermittent fast, so that's not a concern for me. Great question so far. Do we have to pay extra to take extra courses? How many extra courses can you take without being additionally charged a year? Emily, I'll let you take that.
So full-time tuition covers anywhere from 12 to 18 credits. So that's typically 4 to 6 classes. If you go above 18 credits, then you will be charged per credit. It's really kind of an extenuating circumstance that most people will go above the 18 credits. And normally then it would be like a 1 credit kind of like practicum or writing lab or something along those lines. So if it's something that you want to do on a regular basis, then you definitely should talk to your CSS coordinator.
Great question. And guys, as you're asking these questions, you're going to see I'm responding, just thanking you for the question. I'm literally copying and pasting that. It's for my own purposes. After this, I want to make sure it helps me see what questions maybe we didn't get to so I can follow up. So if I'm like a robot with the same response to you, don't ignore me. Here's another good one. Do I just contact you if one of the suggested courses has no courses available? Yes, you should. And the person who asked that is one of my students. So please reach out to me and tell me what course that is so I can figure it out with you. Great question there. Let's see. Is there a sheet that describes what courses meet the core requirements, such as what falls under interpret creative works? There is. I will send that in the chat here in a second. Emily, do you want to look at the next question and answer that as I get that in the link or in the chat?
Sure. Also, whenever you do click on that core course in your plan, it will pull up all of the courses that fulfill that requirement. So you can either see just by that one, click in the plan, or you can take a look at the PDF that Angela will pull up for us. So should we wait until we complete our spring schedules before emailing regarding a minor? Yes, you can let us know that you're interested in a minor, but we're not going to be able to add classes for that minor or a course for that minor until we see that you already have your classes scheduled so that we can pick a course for that minor that fits around what's necessary for your degree. We actually wouldn't fill out the paperwork to declare that minor until we're in the spring semester because you already have to complete courses at Point Park before that can be declared.
I'm going to tackle this next one because I do actually want to say something, at least from my perspective on it. So when will we see these selections available under the scheduling thing you showed us? I went in and looked just now and it wasn't available. Here's a few things to understand. So one, I have about 10 students left that I have to finish planning, but everybody else should be basically good to go, meaning you should be seeing what you should be scheduling for, except for like 10 of you. And give me an hour after this webinar is done and you all will be done as well. If you're not seeing something there, make sure there should be a tab. Emily, you might know this better than me. We were just talking about this the other day. There should be a tab at the top, like the term tab, and it's probably going to auto default to fall 2020 because that's what we are currently in right now. You'll want to make sure you toggle that tab to say spring of 21. Emily, does that sound accurate?
Yes, it's right above the calendar layout whenever you get into register by plan. You'll see right now, it most likely will say fall 2020. There should be a little arrow to drop down, and that will take you to spring 21. It was a glitch in the system that should have been updated yesterday, I believe. Is that whenever I told you, Angelo?
Yeah.
Yeah, so whenever
Yeah.
you get in there today, make sure you switch it to spring 21 and you should be able to see that. I had a screenshot from somebody because we were testing it out, and I have somebody else in there. So if you're not able to see it, schedule a meeting with us and we'll do a screen share to get you through it.
To the student that sent me the question, when will our courses be finalized and set in stone? You're one of my students, and I'm looking at my sheet, and I've already planned you, so you should be good to go. If there's any issues, just let me know. But I've gotten to you. I only have, honestly, like 10 of you left, and you're the special ones. You're my favorites. I keep the best for last. Is there a specific plan for wanting to do co-op internships later in college careers? So that's a really good question. With a co-op or an internship, those classes, Emily, if it's different in your program, please obviously weigh in. But in terms of at least the School of Business, it's an internship and co-op is not required, and it's not set into the program. Now, in like, for example, business management, not only do you have like 9 credits of general electives that a co-op or an internship could apply to if you have open credits there, but also in business, for example, there's a concentration you have to select, and there are some concentration electives as well that you have to complete, and co-op and internship can also count there as well. You'll want to work with the career development team on the co-op and internship. With CSS, your coordinator, we really just facilitate the scheduling of it. Career development helps you get things lined up in Handshake, the career development tool. They work with the employer. They help you get a faculty advisor. And then really it's us in CSS after that facilitates everything with the registrar to get it scheduled. Emily, does it change at all in your programs?
No, it's the same. You can use it as part of your major electives. You can use it as general electives. There's only one program in the entire School of Comm that doesn't have general electives. So worst case scenario, that's where it goes. And all of those are typically placed in the last couple years of the degree. So if that's something you know you want to do, again, let us know and we'll move some of those elective spaces around in your plan to ensure that they're in junior, senior year.
And also for additional information on co-ops and internships, the typical standard is you need to be a junior, 3.0 GPA, and again, I believe this is universal, but there's a career prep course. In business, it's BMGT 280 or MKTS 280, depending on your program. What is it in comm?
Comm 300.
And that, at least in business, is a prerequisite before you could do experiential learning. Is that the same in comm?
Yes.
There we go. In the class switch times or master class time schedule going to look different from fall? Are the class switch times, Emily, does that make sense to you?
Do you mean the time between classes? Yeah, it should be similar to what it is this fall.
Do we contact our advisors if we need to honorize credits? If not, how are we able to take honors classes? Emily, can you tackle that one?
Yes, there are some classes, they're primarily core gen ed classes that already have an honors designation. If you have a class that you want to honorize, you will work specifically with that faculty member teaching the class and the honors program. There's paperwork and agreements, things that have to be signed, but it is solely between you, the instructor, and the honors program.
Thank you, Emily. This next one is one of my students. So my PointWeb doesn't allow me to look at courses beyond fall 2020. Are you seeing a drop-down tab that we were talking about earlier to toggle it to spring of 21? I am looking and have confirmed that I did finish your academic plan, your scheduling plan. So you should be good to go. If you want to double check that to the student who said that to me, give me a follow-up while we're still here in this webinar, or obviously hit me up after this. Let me actually type in my email right now. It's agargaro@pointpark.edu. That's in the main chat area. All right, let's check out something else. I'm interested in double majoring, but I still want to graduate with my first degree in 2022 as planned. Should I set up a meeting to talk about that in person with someone? Yeah. And the person who sent that, I saw your email from yesterday. I'm sorry I have not gotten back to it. I honestly wanted to get to you before the webinar today, and I just didn't. But I will hit you up before in the day today. I'm on campus tomorrow, and I know you mentioned you wanted to maybe meet in person. I'm okay with that. If you are, we'll talk about it and go from there. But yeah, I think that that's a good best practice with like a double major. You would want to meet with your coordinator to kind of see how that would plan out. I would assume though, it's going to be tough to, depending on where you're at in your degree progress, it may be tough to still have that 2022 grad date, but we'll look at it together. Emily, do you want to add something?
Can you guys see my screen?
They should be able to.
I'm hoping you can. I just tossed up a screenshot of the student side for seeing courses for the semester. And it's right there above the calendar. If you look at the 8 a.m. time slot and go straight up, that's the little drop down that will take you over to spring 2021.
Thank you for that, Emily. We have a question that came in for clarification on the section codes. This is a good question. All the questions are great. I should probably just stop prefacing that. OARL and OERL, are they the same? Are they both remote? Yes. You want to look for that, just the final two, you know, right? So like it could say ABCDEFGRL and it's going to be remote, right? More times than not. It could say ABCDEFGDL and it's going to be the 15-week online. So hopefully that provides some clarity there. So we can register as of now. No, you cannot. You can register. I'll briefly go back through these dates and times with you guys again, but I did post the link to the Point Park website that will have that information as well. The first group of students don't register until tomorrow, and that is going to be honors, veterans, athletes, and disability support. After tomorrow, those groups can register moving forward, right? Get in on the first day. But the next category won't start until November the 2nd. That's this coming Monday. That's seniors. Juniors then will be Wednesday, November the 4th. Sophomores will be Monday, November the 9th. And freshmen will be Wednesday, November the 11th. Here's something to pay attention to, though. When I'm saying senior, junior, sophomore, freshman, it's looking at what you are today, not what you're going to be in the spring. So if you're a freshman right now, and after successful completion of fall, you're going to be a sophomore, Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, they're still registering with the freshmen, correct?
Yes, it's based on earned credits, so what you have right now. So if you came in as a traditional freshman, no advanced credits, no AP scores, you are considered to have 0 credits right now because it's based on earned credits. If you are a transfer student and you transferred in 30 credits, then you will be considered a sophomore because you have completed 30 credits. That's what you have earned.
All right, under registration plan, free elective only has no course selections to look at. Is that one of yours or mine, Emily? I think that's mine. Does that make any sense to you, Emily? Do you know why that would be happening?
Will you send me a screenshot? Again, my email.
Yours or mine?
Again, the email is up in the chat, but I would like to see what that looks like for you for clarification, and then we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, I'm seeing we've gotten through most of these questions, which is fantastic. There have been a lot. You guys are doing a great job. Continue to ask away. We've still got 15 minutes left in this. I'll actually take a moment here to just say that at any point, you're welcome to exit the webinar. I'm not kicking you out. But if you've got what you need, you're welcome to exit. When you do exit, there is a survey. It's like 3 questions. It would mean a lot if you could please just take a moment to give us honest feedback so that we can do better with these next time. But continue to ask the questions while we are here for the next 15 minutes. I do not see a drop-down arrow to change my plan to spring 2021. Let's do a screenshot with that. This one, I know that this is my student. So if you want to send me a screenshot of that, I'll try to navigate it with you and see. It's tough because Emily and I don't see it from a student perspective. Let's see, here's the last question we have right now, but again, please keep asking away. If we are interested in ROTC, should we contact our advisor or the ROTC instructor? Emily, I believe that's got to go through ROTC first, right? Like, we don't have anything to do with that. I can't hear you, Emily.
Oh, let's see if that works.
There it is.
ROTC first.
There we go.
Since Point Park is part of the Council of Higher Education, ROTC, depending on what you're doing, a lot of it comes down to some cross-registration with other schools in the area, and it's a whole long process. Definitely doable. I've had plenty of students do it, but you definitely start with the ROTC first.
As of right this second, we have run through all the questions. We do still have a good amount of you here. So what I would ask is, if any of you are actually looking right now, I know some of you have already reached out with concerns or conflicts, you're not seeing things the way that maybe we're saying you should. If anybody's looking right now, is anybody having success? You shouldn't be able to schedule right now, right? We've already established that. But is anybody having success with seeing their planned classes for spring of 21? Can anybody take a look right now and just say in the chat or the question, I guess it would be the questions area. Can you let me know if anybody's having success doing that? Okay, so one of mine said they can. To the person who said that, can you confirm, are you seeing the drop-down box where Emily was describing and showing on the screen that you would see it? Is there anything else that just from your perspective you could share to help us? Only 3.
Okay, so it looks like it might be. It looks like it might be in a different spot since the update. Someone found it next to the hours, not next to the fall 2020 on the far left.
Okay. So again, because you guys can't see this, so let me just say it out loud. If you guys are looking through trying to find it on your end, one of the Rockstar students here is telling us they found it next to the hours, not next to fall of 2020 on the far left. To the student that said you're only seeing 3, please email me after this and we'll work on this together and figure out what's going on. Give me 1 second, guys. And again, you're seeing me reply, thank you for your question, even if you didn't ask a question. I'm just doing it for housekeeping purposes. Let me catch up on a few of these questions here.
Part-time instead of full-time. You should be full-time because I know who you are. Send me an email and again, let me know what you're seeing because pretty sure everybody should have been full-time that I had scheduled in the School of Comm. So let's double check and let's make sure there's not an issue.
Another one saying they're only seeing that it says 3 hours. Interesting. All right, thank you. I saw the person who said that they sent us. I saw the email come through. So thank you for that. All right, so here's what I'm going to say. To the one who's saying the other one that just sent it at 12:49, I don't want to say the name out loud. You said, yeah, I'm also only seeing it says 3 hours. Can you please send me a screenshot of that, and then I'll follow up with you after this. I know I planned you. And luckily, here's the thing, guys. This is all going to be fine. Everything you guys are saying is really of no concern. It may just be that it won't open until tomorrow for you to see everything that we really have planned. This is the first full go with this, but I do feel pretty confident that it's going to go very smoothly. And Emily and I have one last meeting today with everybody that's running this thing, and we'll share some of these concerns and roadblocks that you're running into so that it's nice and smooth. But yeah, this has been very helpful to just kind of get that insight a little bit.
There's also a couple messages in here that say that courses are overlapping as far as the options that were provided for a semester. Again, just due to how all of the classes are formatted and everything this semester, things were kind of crunched. So course offerings have been limited. So if that is the case, again, we'll move some things around and we'll make it work, but you have to be in contact with us.
To the student that said mine also says 3 hours and that I'm part-time, you'll want to, I believe that might be Emily's student. You'll want to email either Emily or both of us, and we'll look into that as well. I'm just looking through the last couple questions here. Okay, so Emily, are you seeing that one? It says 3 hours for each course, though, if that makes a difference. So is it's just showing them the 3 credit value for each one?
Yeah, each course is typically a 3 credit class, and then whenever they're all totaled up, if you have 5 classes, then it will be 15 credits. Some students,
so maybe that's what.
Some students in the School of Comm have already had a class added for them. So maybe that's, if you're comm, maybe that's why you're seeing the 3 hours already added. You're going to get an email about that later on today.
Emily, can you look at the most recent question? It's actually an interesting question. I don't know how to answer it. I feel like they could go in and play around, no, but it wouldn't save.
I'm not really sure. I'd be real curious if you can let us know. I'm going to ask that question whenever we have our meeting this afternoon.
To the student who asked that, can we start to add them, just not register until our date? I don't know. Try it and let us know.
Well, I am
it
going to
says registration not open, but I think I can still add them. So it'll probably just let you play around with the calendar, right, Emily, just to see how it might lay out, but you wouldn't be able to check out and actually apply it.
Well, I would say probably you could get in there and play around, add classes to the calendar and not check out. But if you do that, you run the risk of having that class on your calendar, and by the time you register, it's already full and you're not able to get in. Because if you're a freshman and you're coming in with absolutely, 0 credits, nothing coming in, the seniors, the juniors, the sophomores are all going to have registration open before you. So if you picked Zombie Cinema for your Interpret Creative Works and that's a popular class, you're not going to be able to say, yes, I want that, because it's already full. Does that make sense? I would say get in, play around, look at the courses, kind of have something in your mind what you want to do, but I'd probably have a backup plan too.
Great advice.
Yeah,
I'm just reading.
Check out. So yeah, you can. Thanks for letting us know.
Awesome. That's cool. If I was offered an athletic scholarship but was let go by the team, would I still be considered an athlete or a freshman? I would go with the latter, that you're going to be, that the athletic code is going to be removed, and which is what gives you the permissions to early register. I'm assuming that that's probably been removed. I am, though, trying to look that up as we speak here. Emily, can you just pay attention to see if there's anything else coming through the chat as I look that up?
Will do.
And again, just to say here, as we wind out the last 5 minutes, at any point you're welcome to exit. Please complete the survey upon exiting. It is 2 to 3 questions, and it will be very helpful for us. We're still here for 5 more minutes, so if you've got a couple questions, please do ask them. To the student that's wondering about that athletic scholarship, just give me 1 second here. My system's running slow. Let me see if I can find the answer for you.
Yeah, and we still have a little bit of time. If anybody else has a question, feel free to drop one in there so we can answer something so that you're ready to register for classes. Yeah, and I think everybody in here should be, again, School of Comm, so you're either working with me or you're working with Angelo in the School of Business. So feel free to reach out to us with any questions, any concerns, even if it's something that's not regarding specifically registering by plan. If you get in there and you notice that you have, for example, a midterm hold or anything like that that's on your record, talk to us so we can get those type of things removed. If you have a business hold, a library hold, a full-time admissions hold, anything like that, it will stop you from registering for your classes. So when you do get into PointWeb, you want to make sure that you are clear and all of those things have been taken care of before your registration date happens.
That's a good point. Those holds will prevent you from registering. And Emily did mention this midterm hold that is placed by the Center for Student Success if one or more of your instructors indicated concern with your progress in the course at the midterm point. So you should have received emails from, I believe, Danielle Horniak, who is our grad intern in the student intervention office. So I believe she was the one who sent them out, but you should have received an email regardless from student intervention explaining this process. You have to then reach out to your success coordinator to work through what's going on. Maybe we get you hooked up with tutoring or an academic coach. The goal is to make sure that before we even look forward into the spring, we gotta still get through the fall, right? Like you gotta pass these classes and set yourself up for success. The system finally let me in for that student that, yes, is patiently waiting. So just give me one more minute here.
All right, so I'm going to answer this next one about getting your student ID for a student who was completely remote online for the fall. On the search bar, in the search box on the Point Park website, if you type in ID Center, you'll see the contact information. You'll schedule a time to actually pick up your ID. If you submitted a photo over the summer, then that should be on file. If not, you can get your picture taken on campus.
All right, so I'm answering that student who was asking about the athletic thing. I'm just going to answer it to you privately. So just pay attention to that real quick. Emily, if you just want to monitor the chat here, the questions as we wind out here, one more second.
Yeah, and like I said, we still have a little bit of time, so feel free, any kind of questions, any concerns. Even if it isn't about the register by plan, this is a great time. You have a captive audience here to make sure that you're ready to go. And yes, for the fall semester, like Angelo had mentioned with the section letters, definitely you want to make sure you're paying attention to those. You can still be fully remote. You can have a combination of remote and on campus. You can be completely on campus. So it's up to you to decide what modality is going to work for you in the current situation that we're in.
All right, so I sent that private message to the student who had a question about the athletic status. So, you know, roll with what I'm saying and good luck. Do we have to register by plan, or is it still possible to pick our own classes? I'm a transfer, so it's difficult for me to follow the set scheduling by the school. In my opinion, you being a transfer is even more valuable to be in this format. And just to answer your question, the answer is no. I mean, you are on this plan, and as Emily alluded to or really stated, there's some flexibility here. But what you have to keep in mind is that there are prerequisites that need to be paid attention to, and just even course offerings. Like, for example, in the HRM program, the Human Resource Management program, I mean, there's so many classes that are only offered once a year, like either in spring or in fall. So, you know, we can't do anything if it's not offered. But look, if you have a question, if there's something that's not working with you on what you're seeing, it's not set in stone, at least not to the point where we can't have a conversation about it, right? And we'll figure it out and go from there. All right, so there's one last question here, and then I think that we're gonna close off the questions and just kind of say our goodbyes. Let me just see this. Is it okay if our classes overlap one day because nothing else works? That is not okay. Your classes cannot ever overlap, unfortunately. So you'll want to pay attention to that for sure. All right, so we are at the 1 o'clock mark, and I think that, you know, we shared the information that we wanted to share and answered a ton of your questions. Great job. Thank you for being here and for giving us your time and for asking your questions. Emily, is there anything you want to send our friends off into the sunset with?
We are here to help. So if something is not looking right, if you have questions, if you have worries, if you're a go-getter and you want to do something super exciting, the big thing is let us know. Definitely talk to us. I am probably one of the meaner people you're going to meet on campus. So I understand why you don't want to talk to me, but really we try to be super helpful. So shoot us an email and let us know what you're thinking.
Emily's a sweetheart and one of the nicest people you ever meet. Don't listen to her. But I will echo what Emily said. Really stoked that you guys gave us time. Thank you for joining here today. We all care about you, and we're working really, really, really hard. And to be honest, guys, the amount of work that is going in across the university community to get fall and spring registration up and running cohesively, that makes sense and still gives you a high level education. The amount of moving pieces is insane. Okay, so be patient, work with us, take a deep breath, be happy with what you've done and accomplished so far. Don't forget to do something good for somebody. And Emily and I will catch you next time. Thanks for being here, everybody. Peace out.